Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into something huge, something intricate, and something pretty much invisible that brings us everything we use every single day. We're talking about supply chain management.
Seriously, just look at your phone for a second, or maybe the coffee on your desk. Have you ever really thought about how it got to you? Because its journey didn't just start at the store. Nope. It began as dozens of different raw materials, dug up, refined, and put together in factories all over the world. It moved through this unbelievably complex web of ships, planes, and trucks. And that web, that's the supply chain.
So let's get this straight. The supply chain is the what? It's the actual physical flow of all those goods. But supply chain management, or SCM, that's the how. It's the brain, the master coordinator for every single step. It pulls everything together, from product design to finance, to make sure that whole journey is as smooth and efficient as possible. It's really the difference between just a bunch of stuff moving around and a finely tuned, intelligent system.
Okay, first things first. Let's trace the physical path of a product. This is the world of logistics, and it is the absolute backbone of every single supply chain out there.
You know, the whole physical journey of a product, no matter how complicated it seems, really just boils down to two simple things. Go, which is all the transport, and stop, which is all the time it spends sitting in a warehouse. Every single thing you own has gone through this cycle of stopping and going, over and over and over again.
So think of logistics like a toolbox, right? Each way of moving stuff is a different tool for a different job. Trucks give you flexibility, perfect for those just-in-time deliveries. Setting it by sea is slow, yeah, but it's super cheap for gigantic volumes. Need something there like yesterday? Air freight's your answer, but it's going to cost you. The real art of logistics is knowing exactly which tool, or more often, which combination of tools to use for the job.
But, picking how to ship something isn't just about how fast it gets there. Every single decision is this delicate balancing act, a strategic game of give and take. And this right here, this is the central puzzle of logistics. It's called the total cost approach. If you choose that slower, cheaper sea freight, you save a ton on transport, but guess what? You're paying more to store all that stuff while it's in transit. On the flip side, if you go with expensive air freight, your transport bill is high, but you need way less warehouse space. So the goal isn't just to find the cheapest shipping, it's to find the lowest total cost for the whole shebang. So how in the world is all of this coordinated? Well, this journey isn't just happening by chance. It is meticulously planned using data and forecasting. This is the brain of the entire operation. Companies spend millions, billions even, trying to predict what we're all going to buy next week, next month, or next year. But here's a little secret. Every single one of those forecasts is wrong. Yep. The goal isn't perfection. That's impossible. The real goal is to be as close to right as you can be, and then build a supply chain that's flexible enough to deal with the fact that you're always going to be a little bit off. It's all about managing uncertainty.
And this chart shows you exactly why getting those forecasts right is so critical. Just holding on to a product is surprisingly expensive. When you add up the money tied up in the product itself, the risk of it going out of style or becoming obsolete, plus insurance and storage, well, it can cost a company about a quarter of that inventory's value every single year. That is a massive incentive to keep those warehouses as lean as possible.
And all of this intense planning comes to a head right here in the customer order cycle, the exact moment you click buy. This whole process, from that click to the back showing up at your door, is a huge focus for SCM. All that tech, like handheld scanners and RFID tags, it's all designed to make these steps faster, more accurate, and more efficient, ultimately shrinking the time between your order and your delivery.
But, beyond all the data, the AI, and the trucks, supply chains are, at their heart, run by people. And that means leadership and culture are just as critical as any piece of technology. Leadership in a supply chain isn't about having a fancy title. It's about earning trust. I mean, there's this one real-world case where workers at a huge distribution center literally erupted in cheers, honking their lift truck horns when a manager they all respected, who had been fired, was brought back. And what happened next? They immediately got back on schedule and caught up on all the delayed work. That is the power of real leadership. This just goes to show how a positive culture directly fuels success. Take a top supply chain leader like Cisco. They built their entire culture around what they call a people deal. By focusing on teamwork, encouraging innovation, and making sure everybody wins, they've created an environment where an incredible 93% of their employees say it's a great place to work. That kind of engagement, it translates directly into amazing performance.
All right, let's zoom all the way out now and look at the even bigger picture. Because these massive global networks don't just have an economic cost, they have a profound social and environmental impact on our entire world.
Okay, this chart might actually surprise you. When you think about your phone's environmental impact, you probably think of the electricity you use to charge it, right? Well, that's only about 15% of its total carbon footprint. A staggering 80% comes from manufacturing and materials, from that complex, energy-guzzling global supply chain required just to create the thing in the first place.
And the impact isn't just environmental. Let's look at the chocolate industry. More than 2 decades ago, major companies signed a protocol, a promise, to end the worst forms of child labor in their cocoa supply chains. But as this timeline shows, deadlines came and went, and the problem is still here today. It's a really stark reminder of just how unbelievably difficult it is to enforce ethical standards across these huge, decentralized global supply chains. But there are powerful solutions starting to emerge. Instead of the old-school one-way street from the factory straight to the landfill, companies are starting to embrace what you could call an ecological worldview. They're creating systems to bring products back. This is called reverse logistics, and it's all about turning the supply chain from a straight line into a closed loop. Xerox is just a fantastic example of this in action. They don't just recycle at the end, they design their products from the very beginning to be easily taken apart and reused. Through a global program, they collect all their old equipment and cartridges. They then inspect the parts, clean them up, and reintegrate them into what are basically factory-produced new machines. This isn't just some feel-good initiative. It's a core business strategy that has kept millions and millions of pounds of waste out of our landfill. So what does this all mean? It means that every single product, whether it's a t-shirt or a wind turbine, is the final result of a hidden global network. It's a network of costs and trade-offs, of incredible human effort and motivation, and of profound environmental and social impacts. Once you understand that hidden journey, it changes how you see everything you buy and the complex, amazing world of commerce that surrounds us all.